them, just put them in the chat and I will get to them as I get to that in the presentation. So if you guys are brand new to following me, you can see I am available on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and my website, cjanetrade.com, as well as here on Tocker. If you guys have any questions at all and I'm not live, you are welcome to go ahead and shoot me an email at jane@cjanetrade.com. So we'll go back one. You know, everything you see here is for educational purposes. All the ideas and strategies that I might mention are best to be paper traded first. And when you are trading real securities instruments, know that there are varying degrees of risk in all securities instruments, and no past performance is indicative of future performance. All right, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. And let's go ahead and pull this up. Now, everybody's feeling like, yeah, you know, the market is bearish, right? Well, here, this is from Equity Clock. Hello, Gagan, and hello, Bad Scientists. Thanks for joining me. So we do have the seasonality for the past 20 years, right? We have this massive pullback that we just experienced over the last week. Yes, it definitely does. So seeing that, and seeing that we've hit the 200 simple moving average, we are above that 200 simple moving average on the SPY at the moment. This could have more of an upward trend back to where we were, sort of stall for the last 2 weeks of July, and then have a bit more of a pullback. We do have earnings that we are coming up into, so that is something to keep in mind. We have seen lots of dark pool activity, so that is always fun to see and trade accordingly. Some nice profits came in on Friday with the pullback dropping below the prints. So again, when we look at it, for now, over the next month, oh, gotta love Mercury. There we go. We have this nice upward trend, right? So the next 2 weeks could be a strong surge higher, and then we might see a flattening or that curl down. So not feeling 100% bearish at the moment. And when we look at it, right, we are below the moving averages right now. But again, that pullback over the past 20 years has happened prior to earnings. So it's not necessarily something that's indicative of this bear market happening right now. Also spoke with Mish Snyder from Market Minute. She's also here on Tocker. We were talking about how the economy is separate from the market. So it is possible for the market to be heading up while the economy is slowing down. So for the moment, we are below the moving averages. Yes, if we go ahead and hold below these moving averages, still on the bearish trend. However, we bounced off that 200 simple moving average, almost came down to touch the 50 simple moving average. So we could go ahead and potentially surge higher again, back up here to test that 315 level before we might take a downturn. There was the pullback of the bank test that happened on Thursday. You know, that news really affected the market. And we had that big pullback on Friday. Now this week, remember, we are closed on Friday, so I will not be seeing you guys again until next Monday. But for now, we've got this 200 simple moving average. We have been hovering around it. When we look on our weekly chart, right? Let's go ahead and pull up our weekly chart. Takes a second while it loads. All right, so we are still above that 50 simple moving average, right? We came down, we bounced to it, and now we're up above. Are we going to break this trend line? You can see I drew it off of the daily chart actually. And are we going to go ahead and continue to the upside here and break out? The test of 307 is going to be fairly strong, right? So because that's a prior high from back of last year. That was from June 19th of last year, May to June 19th. So if we're able to go ahead and break above this, then that next test, again, we've got that 309 right here, that trend line that was from the first quarter of 2019. And then come on up and test 314 and then up Potentially we could be testing that 320 area. Not convinced though, because we did have these two areas of consolidation. However, if you look at it on the weekly chart, it's kind of a bull flag, right? When you back out further on that shorter time frames, you're always going to see a faster trend, right? We're still in this upward trend motion, a bit of a flag that we have forming. You can even see it right here with the 50 simple moving average and the downward trend. So this week could be crucial. Are we going to break that 307.25 area and surge up and squeeze those shorts that might be selling and saying, hey, yes, finally the market is rolling over. I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and pull up. I did go ahead and do the short volumes I updated this as well. So we had higher than normal, right? These are the indexes, over 50% on the indexes for the last week for the short volume. So that was the average of the 5 days. Now, when we look at the securities inside of it, right? So we've got Microsoft and Apple, the top two, 38%. That means that 62% of the volume last week was buying on Microsoft. And when you have a leader in the indexes that is having that much strength going into it, it's not going to pull the market down that much. If we started to see this now, the week before it was 54% and 56%. We did set the highs for Microsoft and we shot up. So last time we saw back at 38 was all the way back in April 27th. So let's go and look at Microsoft on the daily chart. Oops. I want the daily here. So when we go back and we look on our daily chart, right, from April 27th, granted we were in that downward trend, but it was April 27th, correct? The week of, hold on, Microsoft, week of April 27th. Okay, so right back here, we had earnings, right? And where did we go since then, right? So from our earnings, what was our gains that we had off of that 38%? It came up and it gained 13%, right? So is it possible for that to happen again? Potentially, right? We could see that Microsoft could really lead the market up and Apple as well. So let's look at Apple. Again, we've got these downward trend lines, right? We broke this level right here. We're testing the moving averages. However, this is going to be a big crucial mark, that $200 mark. Are we going to go ahead and break that this week? I would definitely put that on watch for a break and see if we're able to go ahead and break out higher. So I'm going to move this down here closer on that longer term trend for swinging potentially. We haven't even hit that 21 EMA. And on Apple, right? Apple, same scenario. Apple came down and it hit the 21 EMA, or excuse me, 15 EMA right here, and we're back above the averages. We have this downward channel and we're back in it right now. We came down to the bottom of this trend line here, bounced. We could come up here, and it might be a scenario where we're going to go ahead and bounce around. Hold on, I want to get the drawing tool here. So we might go like this, right? We came down, we might go up, and we might dance around in here, and that could lead the market to new highs, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if that's Japanese, Korean, or Chinese, but I can't understand that comment. For the upside, 307, 314, 320. What about the downside for the SPY? Yeah, I'll go back and I'll check that out for you, Stephen. Let's go ahead and look at it, right? But right now, seeing that these majors are really heading to the upside and they're not pulling back just yet, and seeing that seasonality at the same time is also something that makes me feel more bullish at the moment. The market can do what the market's going to do. It's going to be irrational. And always remember that if you are short, that the massive rise that we had on the market since March was a big short squeeze, right? So except for this time, which we had earnings right here, right? If we look back and we go back again, what happened April, the last week of April, April 28th, we kind of went sideways on the market for 3 weeks, and now we're above it. So we are above all of that volume, and we're above the 200 simple moving average. Again, looking for that test. Okay, so to the downside, we would want to see it close strong and not too far away from the moving averages. Again, I would say 298 area, which is actually where we hit. If we go to our 24-hour candle, you'll see we came down there this morning. We were down there. The low of the day, 298.93, almost hit that 298 mark, dollar way. So we came down close to it, and now it's on the upswing. It could come back up and test up here, 305, 307. It could be a fake out. They could sell it off from there as well. So it's in a no trading zone right at the moment until that direction is fairly clear. Yes, we are below the moving averages. However, seeing that seasonality going into earnings, so why not have that confirmation, right? Yes, we're below, but we could very easily have lots of buying here, and it shoots up and it just squeezes those shorts. Seems like the bears are hungry. They're hungry for the market to drop, right? They're like, why is it going up? Maybe they got hurt on the way up. They got squeezed with this short side. Yeah, nice, Scott. I missed the Apple trade today. But that doesn't mean that there isn't another awesome trade, right? There's so many different trades in the market that are available. So you guys see, I do have my list right here. I do create that live on my Ticker Talker channel every morning from 8:15 until 9 o'clock. If you guys want to come over, see me building it live. I also go through and I go through this worksheet, right? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you guys what's going on. Hey, the indexes are more heavily shorted than the leading stocks that are in it, right? We've got Apple that is at 52%, so it's just over 50%. Microsoft, we've got Amazon's 43%. They've been buying Amazon for quite a while now. Tesla, these shorts are just getting so stubborn in Tesla as it keeps going up. Facebook's 55% short volume for last week. And we've also got gold. Look at this. Look at this silver. Silver has had nothing but shorts getting squeezed in it, right? So this is one to look at. If the economy were to really dampen and get really injured by a downturn, right, then we're going to look likely at metals, because they're going to go ahead and they're going to tie it to metals. I am reading, I don't have my book here because it's by my bedside table. Pitbull, The Secrets of a Wall Street Day Trader. And he was talking, back in the 80s, what happened? There was the pullback in the market. Where did people turn? They turned to the metals, gold, silver, copper. So looking at metal stocks at the moment might not be bad, in my opinion. If history repeats itself, we see a downturn into the economy, everything else, all the currencies devalue. They could be going to a currency or gold or metal commodity to hold everything constant. Or they might go to a gold cryptocurrency, not sure. But looking at that, gold and silver right now seem to be primed. Hold on, let's also go over here. I'm going to pull it up really quickly for you guys so we can see it as well when we start looking at what could potentially happen with the indexes, right? So 2 seconds. Let's go ahead and pull up the gold chart. So gold right now is a bit sideways, but we have a jump actually right here. We're in that last week. So we have a little jump up, and then it goes from July up until end of September, right? So maybe that's a bit to look at. Maybe you'd like to look at GDX, or you'd like to look at GLD. When I'm also doing a swing trading webinar this afternoon at 4 o'clock after the market close. If you guys want to check it out, I will put the link up around 3:30 on my Twitter if you guys want to join me. Very nice, only Patachjamit. Sorry for pronouncing it wrong. So Boeing as well is lifting up the Dow incredibly today, right? And we've had a bit of a breakout. Now, we could look at equity clock and see, we are in sort of an anomaly right now with what's going on with the market. This is not something that we've seen too much. Back in the 1920s, there was the Spanish flu as well. There was the Great Depression that subsequently happened from that. The amount of technology that we have, the news, the tools that the Fed has at their fingertips, and the ability to look back at the past and learn from it could really affect the market going forward. We might have a big downturn and a recession that's going to happen in the economy. However, the market could be trading completely differently from that. So keep that in mind. The market overall is bullish. As more people go back to work, their 401k money is being thrown in. It's buying the large cap stocks a lot of times. The individual retail investor, many times they're going after the small caps or the micro caps or the micro minis or mini micros or whatever they're called. So keep that all in mind, that we have all that money still pouring into the market. So even though there's some people that might be hesitant to get in, there could be a massive short squeeze because some of the retail traders are saying, no, this must go down. Well, just like Tesla, right? Tesla has had over 50% short a long time. And what has it done? It's just been, actually looks like we're primed for another breakout coming, right? We've got this trend right here. We're getting really close to breaking out again on Tesla, right? And where was that highest volume? Back here, right? This candlestick right here. So are we going to break out? This is a fairly shallow trend line. Wouldn't take too much volume to go ahead and squeeze all of those shorts. You know what? I did do Timothy Sykes challenge. It was great for the tools. However, the penny stock trading is not for me. I found there was less risk in trading larger cap stocks. You could make a fair amount of money with larger cap stocks with a higher range throughout the day, but it's less risk. So looking at this, Tesla is on that watch list, right? Hey, we've had this consolidation right here. The longs keep taking it up. You know what, Scott? I've learned as I've gone, but really, if you haven't read Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, read that book for sure. It is awesome. Also, Mish Schneider's Money Tree. That's another great one as well, to give you an overall glimpse of the market and look to see how the different ETFs and sectors correspond with each other and can give you an indication of what the market is doing overall, if it's healthy or not. I mean, right now we have lots of stocks that are hitting 52-week highs, some that are breaking out. There are 10 stocks that are working on the COVID vaccine. Pharmaceuticals can be very risky, as how many of those 10 are going to get the vaccine? 1. So you have a 10% chance of having it go up dramatically for that COVID vaccine. So that's not very good odds, right? You don't want to have a 10% chance that your stock is going to be the one that's going to make it in that sector. So something to think about on that. It's more likely that one of them, you have a 90% chance that the rest of them are going to go down when that news comes out that the vaccine has been chosen. All right, so let's check out Snap too. Snap has had a big pullback as well, and today came down to the moving average. Maybe they're just loading back up to take it on up even higher. Twitter, the little Twitter bird, well, pulled back, and now it found support down here, and it's bouncing up higher than normal volume on Friday. Are we going to go ahead and come back up and test the high there? We could, we might. Also, with the news of Trump, with an arrest warrant out for him, there's always some news that's coming out, but really the prince and the dark pool are really going to be the ones that are going to go ahead and move the market. Well, you might say that VXRT is the one that the government might have picked. However, we just had on Thursday the World Health Organization saying that mRNA was leading the pack, and there's also AstraZeneca, there's also Novavax, that is also, Novavax is a vaccine company overall that deals with viruses. They have flu virus, they have RSV, and just recently added the COVID expansion into their pipeline as well. So there's 10, you know, the odds of that one that you pick being the one that you are going to get into, that's going to go ahead and be the one that's chosen and makes it to the finish line first, is risky. So pharmaceuticals overall are a risky area to look at. All right, anything in particular you guys want to look at? You're waiting on Facebook. But here, let's go look at Facebook. Facebook had a big pullback today, and it's had a resurgence as well. So we had this trend line from the past, right? So usually I'll draw it from the bottom of the candlesticks, but here we had the buyers pulling it up each time, right? And that's what we're at today, right? We're above that 50 simple moving average. It's heading back up. It was very far extended when it opened up today. That was based off of some news that people were not going to use it for advertising. Well, a lot of people still do use it for advertising. So that was a rumor, really, that they'd sold the news. And what happened? Now those shorts that got in this morning, ouch, they're getting squeezed, right? It's up 19 points from where it opened, right? We had an open price on Facebook today. Pull it up a little bit more. 2097, up $10. So if you had 1,000 shares, ouch, down $10,000 on that if you went short right at open. So best to wait for that confirmation as well. Do you guys have any stocks in particular that you would like to go ahead and check out? We'll go ahead and look at the Qs as well. So we talked about Microsoft, we talked about Apple, and here, let's go ahead and look at the list for the Qs holdings. All right, so overall, a lot of the stocks are green on the day for the Qs, right? For the overall holdings. So I like to have the whole index so I can check it out. Hey, is this a healthy pullback? Amazon's down very minor. You know, I'll even calculate out the percentage. You guys see this here too? Right, so maybe it's going to come back up and test up here, 245, 244.70. I also like to look at the 45-minute chart right here. And to me, we're above a level that's important, that 240.59 line. So feeling bullish still, they might come up and test that 244.32 area right here to sell it off a bit more. And then that final test would be up here at roughly 245 on the bullish side for the Qs. And then looking back on the daily chart, again, we would have to close below this 21 EMA. We haven't done that. It's at 240. And where we opened again today, 239.98, right? We opened right there pretty much at that 21 EMA, dropped down a little bit pre-market, it's not, excuse me, not pre-market, dropped down a little bit right at open and then surged up higher, just like Facebook, right? We've got the top holdings, top 10 holdings are pretty much green on the day, except for Adobe's down a little bit. That's the biggest one. And PayPal's down a little bit. But for the most part, there's a lot of bullish indications when we look back on our weekly chart too for, oops, what did I do up here? When we look back on our weekly chart, you can see that we're bullish, right? We are simply riding that EMA right on up. So is it any wonder that it pulled back to it? No, not at all. All right, let's look at PFE. Check that out. And again, look at it on different time frames. Don't get stuck to just a smaller time frame because it's not going to give you the best indication. All right, so we are on the weekly right here. Let's do this really quickly. Draw that. right? And let's go back to our daily. So we might be in a bit of a, and on a shorter time frame here too. We've got this right here. So we had actually a bit of a trend line right there, higher than normal volume, right? And now we're above it. So Pfizer might be coming on up to test that resistance area right here, the low of this candle, $33. So might have a nice 50-cent move to the upside. If it does break that, I would look for that next test up at roughly 33.80. And then on up, if it breaks that, test of 34, and then we've got that gap to fill to the upside of 35. But it might be slow moving for that. And let's look at SE. Also on, all right, SE, very nice here, Scott. So SE's pulled back, consolidated, and now it's surging back up again. If it goes ahead and takes out this candle, that's the highest volume candlestick. Then I would say, hey, watch for a very quick test of that 120, 116 high of the year right there. That could happen fairly quickly once it goes ahead and it holds and it closes above 112 right here, in my opinion. Oh, you're very welcome, Beth Scientist. All right, and let's go to Wayfair. So Wayfair has been huge on the online furniture, right? Everybody's been ordering from Wayfair. Never used it up here myself. I know when I lived in Philadelphia, I furnished my house, my first house down there with Overstock. That was way back, goodness, that was a while ago now. Probably 15 years ago that I was using Overstock. So Wayfair, right now we're coming and we're testing this support. It bounced off of it a little bit earlier this morning. And now it's coming up, holding. See if we can go ahead and hold the support right here. Let's look at it on the weekly as well. It looks like it's just starting to curl over. We might have that downward movement, but again, on this weekly chart, we're still riding those moving averages up. So don't necessarily get in too early. Wait for it to really show you that it's going to roll over. Again, I would give it all the way down here to that 190.75. If it broke that, then yes, potentially to the downside. Okay. So Agilent Technologies in the biotech. Yeah, I'm not too much a fan of biotechs, Stephen, but it looks like it's in a bit of a downward trend. Okay, SQ. All right, let's check out SQ. So SQ, I see a resistance forming right here and right here. Look at this, guys. So every day that we've come and we've hit this, right, it's sold off. Now we're testing it again. And do the trend line. So we have a bit of an ascending triangle. Come down, test it, down, test it, down, test it, down, right back up again. So is it going to surge up? Watch for that break of 108, right? If it can break here with a lot of volume, we had high volume on Friday. Once it engulfs this candle, either direction, that's going to be probably the trend that will be formed, in my opinion. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you have not already subscribed to my channel on Tocker as well as on YouTube, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you liked the video today. If you guys, again, ever have any questions, shoot me an email at jane@cjanetrade. Always happy to help and give back to the trading community. Thanks a lot. Carpe Profit and seize those profits one trade at a time.
The risk of loss in trading commodity interests can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition, and considering whether to trade or to authorize someone else to trade for you. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
The ticker